Hi, in this video, let's try to understand something called as looping with C programming. Now, what do we mean by looping? Looping means what? Let me give you a very simple example. For example, I want to print hello world, how are you? You know that we can very well do that using printf statement. But what if I want to do this printing 10 times? What you would do is you would simply type printf and something and do this 10 times, or you will simply copy paste this line 10 times. Instead of doing that, every programming language provides us with something called as looping structure. Now what this looping structure can do is it can loop your program for a predefined number of times easily and effortlessly. Let's see how we can use looping in C programming, and there are two types of looping structures in C programming. One is called as for and another one is called as while, or it is also called as do while. We'll see both of them one after another. So let's first try to understand what is for loop. Now for loop in C is actually very simple. And before we get started with it, we'll just include the hash include stdio.h, void main, and save the program. Now let's say I want to do the same thing. I want to print hello world, how are you 10 times. Now for that sake, what we do is we'll take an integer first, let's say int I, and then the for loop is written like this: for I equal to 0, semicolon, I less than 10, semicolon, I plus plus. And then here you open a curly bracket, you close a curly bracket, and you type whatever that you want to execute inside this for loop. So hello world /n. I just on purpose give /n, means every time it should print in new line. Hello world, how are you? Let's give a /n before also. Now look at the construct, how it goes. So this is called as initialization. It's not at all mandatory that it should be I. It can be j, k, l, m, n, or whatever variable name that you have. So this is initialization. It is also not necessary that you start it from 0. You can start it from 1, 2, 3, or any number that you want. Then I less than 10, this is a condition. Now this condition can be I less than 10, I greater than 10, I less than or equal to 10. There can be many such combinations possible. And this is your increment operator. It means after every iteration, what should happen to this I? So I plus plus means I should increase by 1. So I starts from 0, this line is executed. Then I becomes 1, then this line is executed. Then I becomes 2, then this line is executed, and this goes up to 9. After 9, this gets executed and I becomes 10. Now it will not be executed because now I is no more less than 10. As simple as that. Let's try to understand it by executing it now. So build and run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can see this program executed the hello world, how are you exactly 10 times. Alternatively, you can also utilize this I and print it into the code. So hello world, how are you? Value of I is %d, and you can pass that value I here. So you can also get to see how I is incrementing from what point up to what point. Let's do build and run. Now I hope it's visible properly. So hello world, how are you? Value of I is equal to 0. Why it's 0? Because we started it with 0. Why it stopped at 9? Because we set to stop at less than 10. And because I plus plus is there, so each time it is incrementing by 1. Now you can also make some changes to it and make it I less than or equal to 10. For example, if you want to reach that point with which you are checking, means I want to reach up to 10, not more than 10. So this line should do it. Let's execute it. So I equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 10. This is how you write down your simplest for loop. At the same time, this for loop can also be written in a different way where you do this operation in reverse order. So for I is equal to 20, I is greater than 10, I minus minus. Now what we are doing here is, let's print it, printf. I'll just print the value of I here, %d. I'll not explain anything and I'll just run the program, and I would say you try to comprehend it. So instead of plus plus, we should have I minus minus here. Now I is starting from 20, and as long as it is greater than 10, we want to do I minus minus. Let's run it. Just a moment. So let me give a new line here and here. And now let's run it. So can you see that value of I is equal to 20, 19, 10, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12 and 11. It's not coming at 10. So it has become 10 in I minus minus, but then the condition is not executed, or then the loop is not executed, because now it is not greater than 10. It is equal to 10. Now this is the very basics of for loop. You can also utilize this for loop to do a different kind of program. For example, let me save it as for table of number. Now let's say I give you a task. The task is very simple. Task is accept a number from user. So accept a number from user and print its table up to 10. For example, it simply means that if you accepted 5, then print 5 into 1 is equal to 5, then 5 into 2 is equal to 10, and so on up to 5 into 10 is equal to 50. Now how will you do this program using for loop? Let's try to understand. Same syntax goes here. Hash include stdio.h void main int a printf /n/n enter a value to print its table. Now we'll also take another int called I, for example, here. Now scanf %d comma ampersand a because we want to store that value into a. And now what we will do is, for I is equal to 1, we don't want to start with 0 here. I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus, means we want to start with 1 and we want to end at 10. And what I will do is, I will utilize this value of I to multiply with a and print a result. So let's choose another variable. Let's take another variable here. Let's call it b. So every time in this iteration, what we want to do is b is equal to a into I. Okay. So b is the result, a is your first number, I is your multiplier. Now simply go on and print it. So printf %d x %d is equal to %d. Pass on the number as you want. So first you want to pass on the actual number, so a. Next you want to pass on the multiplier number, so I. And third you want to pass on the result, that is b. That's about it. Let's try to see the output. Enter a value to print its table. Let me give 6 here, and then you can see when I hit enter, it will print 6 into 1, 6 into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 6 into 10. So try this program at yourself without looking into the video and see if you can get the output. We'll see some more applications of for loop in next video. Thank you for watching this.